We have the pleasure of rejoining our Senate meeting today. Before we adjourn, President Young usually comes to our academic Senate meetings and gives us a report at the beginning of the meeting. Today, he has agreed and would like to do the State of the University address as part of our Senate meeting. I'd like to turn the introductions over to Senior Vice President David Persing.
Well, it's my great pleasure to introduce our 14th President, Michael K. Young. And he gave me strict instructions that this was to be very brief because we want to have time for questions and discussion at the end. So all I'm going to tell you is that this is the man who was responsible for the behind-the-scenes negotiations that got us into the Pac-12, which is very great on the academic side as well as the athletic side. Michael?
Good afternoon. It's appropriate to follow that up with a little observation. You have to remember, I spent a great deal of my career at Columbia University. And Columbia's claim to fame was the longest losing streak in NCAA history. And then I came from George Washington University, which did not have a football team. And the principle we learn here is the less I know about something, the better we tend to do here at this university. So I do recall during the interview process there was some question about what I knew about big-time college athletics, and I said, well, football's the one you play outdoor on the rectangular field. Isn't that right? I am pleased to be here to give you just a little bit of an overview of some developments over the past year and a little bit of a preview about things that will be of a particular focus, at least out of the President's office this year, and I hope engage a number of you as well. I do start with a little bit of sad news. It's very sad news about one of our students. As you may have read in the paper, we had a tragic death of one of our Hinckley interns. Eric Wright had just started a Hinckley internship back in Washington, D.C., and had a terrible accident off the roof of the building in which they were staying. And we just want the Wright family to know that our thoughts and prayers are with them during this very difficult time. It's a sad occasion when we lose any member of our community, but particularly in these circumstances, our students have such promise and such wonderful young people that this is just very hard. And I just start by acknowledging that and know that you share my sadness with that unhappy announcement. But on the much happier news sides, the university's continues on, I think, a tremendous upward trajectory. And I particularly appreciate the opportunity to give this a little bit of an overview here in front of the Faculty Senate, because at the end of the day, the heart and the soul and the backbone of this university indeed always has been the faculty and continues to be so. So many of the accomplishments that we'll be talking about today, certainly we have a tremendous leadership team here at this university. They deserve a great deal of credit. Many of them are in the audience today. But at the end of the day, we thank most deeply the faculty for the extraordinary work that goes on. And as I recite some of these statistics and developments during the year, you'll see how central this is, and you'll see how important and central the faculty is. I will talk a little bit about research. Research funding, projects, discoveries are on a remarkable upward trajectory, as well as commercialization of many of those discoveries that allow us to put them into the marketplace and into the lives of real people. You may have noticed that we are having some growth in the infrastructure. There are 2 roads still open on campus. We're working to start projects to close those roads if we can. But those are facilities that really are essential as we watch the development of our great research activities and teaching activities. These are facilities that really are necessary and essential. We have expanded considerably over the past few years our international reach. Both in terms of students coming into the university from a variety of countries, as well as the opportunities for our students and researchers to engage abroad, and I'll mention that briefly. Happily, we are doing this in an increasingly sustainable way. The programs and initiatives that are throughout the university are turning out to be powerful and important, and we're seeing the significant impact of those on the university as well. So let me start just a little bit about research funding, if I may. Research funding, research projects, discoveries, all much greater than they have ever been at this university. Indeed, research and related funding collected by the university during the recent year jumped 27%. We are over $450 million of external research funding. That is an increase of about $100 million over the past year. That is a tremendous tribute to this faculty and their hard work and their increasing international and national recognition. Now, some part of that are the ARRA funds, the federal stimulus money. But interestingly, while those funds seem to have been pushed out the door first, and a big proportion of the increase really derives from those funds, as we look at the year going forward, now that the new fiscal year started, we actually saw a $14 million jump in the month of July alone, the first month of this fiscal year. That is a dramatic increase, and that has virtually none of the ARRA funds in it. So our suspicion that they were processing ARRA funds first and the other grant funds later seems to be borne out, at least by some of the developments. I looked at the statistics, and just an interesting point of reference. We are, if you look at the calendar year, we are right now at the end of 6 months. We have research funding that exceeds what we had at the end of the year, in the end of 12 months in 2001. So there have been very positive developments here, and we are excited about that. What's, I think, important to remember, though, is that while I cite these large numbers, behind each of these projects really remain remarkable developments and discoveries of the most extraordinary sort. You may have read our university biologist, Viu Marquis, received an almost $4 million grant to study memory and learning in little nematode worms, and in the process was designated given an NIH Director's Pioneer Award. Only 18 of those were given out throughout the entire country. This is a tremendous compliment. And this is a great project, I think. Our orthopedics department received, along with Worcester Polytechnic Institute, a $3 million grant to work on a smart implant for prosthetic devices, which will be implanted directly into the bone, then with sealant around it to prevent infection and rejection. And if you think of both of those projects, you realize that while we talk in large numbers of $450 million and $100 million and $12 million, what we're really talking about is project after project after project that truly has the potential to change the quality and the nature of our lives. And so it is very exciting. I mean, I'm always thrilled to talk about these great numbers and brag about those. But more importantly, as we look behind those, I'm always so impressed with the real work that reflects. And happily, one of the processes for realizing the benefit of those developments is the commercialization process. Our commercialization office has set another record in bringing in $3 million of revenue. Now, their budget was $500,000, so they're $2.5 million over. And this is the accomplishment I expect all departments of the university. I expect a 5-to-1 over whatever your projections are. But they started 19 new companies, which really raises over 100 the number of companies that have been started here from university technology over the past 5 years. It really is remarkable. We rank number 1 in the country, tied with MIT. I was thinking a little bit about our new move into the Pac-10. And of course, the question is, how do we stack up in the Pac-10? So I have a little graph here. If you want to come down to the front, you can see this. This shows all of the Pac-10, Mountain West schools and the Pac-10 schools are all in blue on the bottom, showing their commercialization efforts. And here's the University of Utah in red, just to give you a sense of what a remarkable development this is. And I think what's equally important about this, what has been absolutely critical in this regard, has been the opportunity to use this as a teaching vehicle. When we look at the way in which these processes work out, it is indeed the engagement of the students through the Lassonde Center, through the Sorensen Innovation Center, through the student-run venture capital fund, where they get to lose my money before they lose the money of their new employer. All of those kinds of things engage the student in a way that allow them to have a kind of an experience that really is unique at this university, and indeed has turned out to be enormously powerful in both working with the professors and creating this bridge between the professors and the business community, but giving our students a kind of experience that is such as to launch them out into the world capable of doing things that without that kind of experiential base they really would not be able to do. So while we talk about commercialization and are so pleased about the dramatic increases in commercialization and the way that gets this wonderful technology out into the lives of real people, it also has a profound heuristic effect, a profound educational dimension to it here as well, and has become, I think, that something that has begun to distinguish our not only our College of Business, but our College of Engineering and our College of Law, all of whom are intimately involved in these processes. Let me turn to a moment for the physical structures. I'm going to try and be a little briefer today than I usually am. You know, as most of you know, you put a nickel in me and I will go for about 4 hours about the university. I'm going to try not to do that today so we have some time for questions and answers, but I do want to give a bit of a toward the horizon of some of the things that are going on, including physical facilities. As we see this significant increase in research funding, educational opportunities for our students, and all the things that go on in this university, we need physical structures that commensurate with the quality of the activities that are going on. We have been trying to do that in a way that is consistent with a master plan that, as you know, we prepared about a year and a half, finished about a year and a half ago, in order to create a campus that was able to accommodate all these needs for growth, but at the same time was walkable, was livable, was sustainable, was consistent with this beautiful environment in which we live, would be efficient and effective as an educational campus. That master plan, by the way, was honored with an award by the 2010 Society for College and University Planning's Society, which gave us the Excellence in Planning Merit Award for planning for a district or a campus component. And that's a real honor, I think, to the work that went in, certainly on Mike Perez and all of his staff who orchestrated all that. But as you'll recall, it was also very much a joint venture with the entire university community, and indeed many outside the university community as well. So we are working to do everything we do consistent with that master plan in ways that ensure that the objectives of that plan are really met. We do have, at the moment, 15 major projects that either have been or just completed or under construction or under design. So that's about $725 million of projects, so all of, 80% of which is really paid for by non-state funds, and about 20% by state funds, about 18% by state funds as well. If you were to take out the Museum of Natural History and the USTAR building, the state funding would be even lower, but we're very grateful for those two buildings and what the state supported there. Let me just mention a couple of them. The David Eccles School of Business, which will not only enhance dramatically the classroom environment there, that will make rooms that are more suitable for the kind of teaching that goes on in a major business school, but also make available classrooms and student study space and so forth for other parts of campus as well. Dave Pershing is already, I think, scheduling those classrooms out. The Sorensen Molecular Biological Research Building, the first of the USTAR buildings, will be completed in October of 2011. You've seen it go up. It will be, I think, one of the most remarkable research facilities in the country, and symbolically and practically help begin in a much more, no pun intended, concrete way, bridge the two halves of campus to expand and deepen the collaboration between both of those halves of campus, and we're very excited about that building. The Utah Museum of Natural History also scheduled for completion October of 2011. I had a chance to tour that recently with the governor. Extraordinary building that actually will, by its very shape and structure, teach about the geography and the natural history of Utah. Not only will it have wonderful vistas, but designed to use those vistas for instructional purpose. So you look out on where Lake Bonneville would have been. You'll have discussions of the natural history of Utah during that period. There's a dinosaur room that looks to me like it's large enough to contain most of the dinosaur species of which we're aware. It is going to be a remarkable building and important not only to the university but to the entire state. We have anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 school children that pass through that building. We take parts of those exhibits around to the entire state. So it's yet another example of the way in which we importantly connect to this state and hopefully encourage some more science majors to come to the University of Utah. The Student Life Center, about which I think you've heard me talk a great deal, we had a kickoff meeting in June of this year, hoping for a completion date of around April of 2012. And we will commence construction of the first two of what will be 4 honors housing complexes just at the foot of Legacy Bridge. 310 beds are planned for that, completed in July of 2012 as well. Fortunately, with the help of many of you, a great cohort of deans, a terrific development office, vice presidents who've been deeply committed to all this, and wonderful alumni. Our Together We Reach campaign for the university is doing well. In fact, it's doing exceptionally well. As you may recall, we started this at the very bottom of this recession, set a goal of $1.2 billion. Basically, most of us wondering what Fred Esplin was thinking. It turns out, with 3.5 years left in this campaign, we are just under $950 million. That's $300 million even more than last year. We are one of the few schools in the United States that has managed to raise more money each of the last 2 years than we did the years before. It's a tremendous testament, I think, to people's perception of the quality of work that's going on here at this university and all that you are doing. What's also exciting about it is one of our goals in this campaign was also to ensure the future of the university, and you do that by expanding the number of donors in the pool. And I'm happy to report that in the course of this campaign, we are 43,000. Is it higher than that now, Fred? It's higher than that. 43,000 plus new donors to the university who have never given to the university before. We have virtually doubled the number of people donating to this university and suspect that by the end of the campaign it'll even be appreciably higher than that. That, I think, positions us very well as we look to the future of this university, knowing that we've been able to engage that many more people in this wonderful enterprise, people that we hope over time will be able to keep engaged as well. International programs continue to expand. John Francis gives me a stack of papers. He has very little capacity for editing, it appears. A stack of papers that every quarter that grow by leaps and bounds of the number of exchanges and international activities we have going on. I'll mention one in particular, which is we're delighted that the College of Humanities has been selected to receive the Department of Education's Title VI National Resource Center grant for our Asia Center. This is a relatively new center. The study of Asia is not new on this campus, but organizing it in the way that it has been organized is relatively new. This is an almost $5 million grant over the next 4 years that will support faculty, students, research, community outreach, a tremendous recognition of the activity going on campus, to be sure, but also an opportunity for us to do a great deal of work in terms of forming, expanding, deepening these international partnerships, as well as local partnerships. This is being done in collaboration with some of the other universities around the state, in particular Brigham Young University, which also has some Asian-related programs. And so we're just very excited about that as well. We're also working with the Salt Lake City School District to assist in the development of Chinese language instruction. You may be interested to know As of last year, at least, Utah had the largest number of students in public education studying Chinese of any state in the nation. Not the largest percentage, but the largest absolute number, even more than California, as it turns out. So for those of you who haven't studied Chinese yet, I would get on board and hurry and do that. Let me mention sustainability for just a moment, if I may. The university's always been at the forefront of environmental responsibility and thoughtful energy use and water use. We live in an environment where that really has to be the case. But we've worked very hard over the past few years with many of you to expand and deepen our commitment in that area. You know, we signed the American College and University President's Climate Commitment, which includes our commitment to create a formal carbon neutrality plan. In the process, we have created both an overarching advisory group as well as 6 task teams that are looking at energy efficiency, transportation, renewable energy, water, grounds and food, and communications, and then finally curriculum and research, and looking to ways in which all of those are interwoven to make this a campus that both thinks about, teaches about, researches about sustainability, but also does its activities in a sustainable manner as well. These teams have generated a comprehensive list of strategies for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and saving the university money. This plan has now been articulated, and we are in the preliminary approval process for our plan, hoping to, the plan was recently presented to our cabinet and to the Board of Trustees, whose chair, Randy Dreyer, we're always delighted to have with us. So we're very grateful to Myron Wilson and the leadership of the Office of Sustainability for putting together this extensive report that will really be a guidepost to us over the coming years, and allow us to expand on the things that we have been doing that I think have been significant. And these efforts have not gone unnoticed. We ranked this year as number 4 in the nation of colleges and universities for Green Power Partners. That's a jump of 6 spots in just 1 year. It's recognized for its voluntary purchase of 62 million kilowatt hours of wind-generated electricity and voltaic energy, and its small solar voltaic energy program, small but growing. So in this regard, I want to recognize all of you engaged in this. I know I see Dean Newman sitting there, and his colleagues have been deeply involved and engaged in this, and our students have really led out on this. As they have created this a small student fee to pay for this, and many of the purchases have actually been on behalf of the Associated Student Organization of the university. Biochemistry professor Chris Hill has then expanded this in a way that allows voluntary contributions from faculty, staff, alumni, and the public, and it's just been a tremendous development. I'm also pleased to announce, I think I can publicly announce this, can't I, Frank? That the Sutton building for the College of Mines has been certified as LEED Gold certified. I'm pretty sure that's the first one on our campus that has been so certified. This is a wonderful designation, and we're very, very pleased. We're hoping it will not be the last by a long stretch. I had a long conversation with Sarah George at the Museum of Natural History. She hopes that they are on track to do that as well. But Frank, congratulations, a tremendous tribute to your efforts and all of your, and Margie's efforts and all of your efforts to put that together. On a more personal note, I'm glad to see the farmers market is back in session, so buy local. Drop by there sometime. It's really a lot of fun. As I sort of end talking about the things that go on at this university that are exciting, I really cannot end without talking about the most important element, and that's the exceptional students we have here at the university. Our students are remarkable. They continue to honor us not only with what they bring to the university, but what they accomplish while they're here. In the classroom, in service learning, we are constantly among the nation in service learning classes, and students' contributions and commitments in that regard, in student government, in leadership programs, in honors think tank, in undergraduate research opportunity programs. in the entrepreneurial activities they undertake. This is a remarkable student body, and we are seeing it, at least by statistical barometers, get better and better every year. Our admissions index continues to be adjusted upward while we're keeping the number of students stable, which is what we hope to do by and large. Our admissions index has increased 4 times in the last 6 years, and it's largely in direct correlation to the number of angry phone calls I get from parents. And I have to say that as distressed as I am to get those concerns expressed by parents on the one hand, on the other hand, I have to tell them, well, look, it's simple, study harder. If you want to get into the University of Utah. That message is beginning to get out. 10% of our student body now will qualify for the Honors College if they chose to do so. That's 2,300 students who starting this fall qualify for that. That's really wonderful. The number of students graduating with honors degrees has actually doubled over the past few years, and the number of students receiving honors certificates has tripled. So that we're very pleased about. Just a very brief report on where we stand this year. Actually, we had, not surprisingly, some increase in the size of our student body. We actually have about 1,500 more students registered right now than we did this time last year. So we're a little over 31,000. That's about 500 more students from out-of-state and international students. We're seeing a tremendous uptick in national interest in the University of Utah, and we're pleased about that. We're also attracting students who increasingly want the kind of intense experience you have when you live on campus and engage on campus. And so we have found our dorms are not only full, but we have a considerable waiting list for those dorms, which is part of the reason we're breaking ground as quickly as we can on additional dorms. And so that is exciting. And I'll just give you one story that I like very much. We had a student recently transfer from UCLA into our honors college, and she liked the fact that we had an honors college as opposed to an honors program. And I asked her what it was about it, and she said it was 2 or 3 things. One is she'd never got the kind of personalized care and attention at UCLA that she got here. And number 2, she said she never had the quality of professors there that she had here. Now, as a fellow member of the Pac-10, I won't say that in public, but in private, just between us, I thought that was a tremendous compliment to what's going on here at this university. We're also very pleased to report that we are increasingly attracting a student body demographic that looks like our state. We're up from 6% to 13% of underrepresented students as part of our student body, which I think is exciting. And even more importantly, I think our retention of students under the Center for Ethnic and Study Affairs office, the students under that program, our retention rate is in the mid-90s for those students. The average in the United States is 50%. We are retaining them between first and second year and second and third year in the 95% range. And that is an extraordinary development. A tremendous compliment to all of you, to Octavio Villalpando and his office for the great work that's going on there. Equity and diversity really is for us important. It is an educational value. It's a measure, an important measure of educational excellence. We continue to strengthen our commitment because it leads to a range of real educational benefits. Benefits to all of the students throughout our community, as well as to the faculty as well. It enlivens discussion in class. It teaches. It helps us understand better the things that we think about and research and talk about and debate from different sorts of perspectives. We're also in the midst of creating one of the most comprehensive tutorial and network programs that really, for these underrepresented students, is found in any public university in the United States. And that's going to be critical for our capacity to ensure that we not only make these opportunities available, that they participate fully in the intellectual life of this school, giving all the benefits that creates for all of us, but at the same time succeed here as well. Underrepresented students benefit from our support, to be sure, but equally important, we benefit every bit as much as they do in every way in our educational processes. So we're delighted. We're seeing success in this with the Utah Opportunity Scholars, the Miller Scholarships, the Ivory Home Scholarships, the Kennecott Scholarships. We've increased the amount of funding available from I think about $700,000 over $2 million in the past few years, and that will continue to go up. So we're excited about the things that we see. I'll give you another example of great things our students do. There's a youth startup company started entirely by former and current engineering students called Short Solutions. And Short Solutions went to Palo Alto Software Challenge and won the 2010 Global Moot Court Competition, Corporation Corp, not court, as in the law school case, which is really sort of described in the newspapers are reporting this as the Super Bowl of business plan competitions. There were 40 teams from 12 different countries qualified to participate, and Short Solutions won $1,500 in this competition, which means in their grants and competitions they won over $86,000. This was so important, actually, that one of our students, Jordan Nichols, actually missed his graduation. He got a master's in engineering, and he missed his graduation ceremony to come to this, which I don't approve of, but thrilled, nevertheless, to see what they do. But this is an example of the kind of thing that we see our students doing just across the board. Let me conclude with just a couple of last thoughts, if I may. I had a colleague at Columbia who always used to say, "Now I have two last one things to say." So let me say my two last one things. I've spoken a lot about growth today, and I think what we have seen here at this university, coupled with the extraordinary work that Dr. Hill and his coaches have done with our wonderful student athletes and the tremendous success on the athletic fields and courts, that our invitation into the Pac-10 is important for this university. Important, probably as important academically as it is athletically. It gives us an opportunity to project our successes onto a national stage, to be better understood, better appreciated. That in turn will garner its own set of resources, I think, to really continue this expansion and this development. And indeed, it puts us into the conference with other exceptional, like-minded research universities. And as we look at what that looks like, we really do belong in that. If we look at our academic research and development money, Tom Parks and I were just talking about that today, we are smack in the middle of the Pac-10. If we look at academic rankings based on, say, output, for example, the Xingtao ratings out of China that look at the number of peer-reviewed articles that are published, that look at citations to those articles, National Academy memberships, research grants, Nobel Prizes, Fields Medals, etc. We are, again, right in the middle of the Pac-10. It's a very good place to be. It does present challenges. I mean, we need to continue, certainly on the athletic side. Some of our infrastructure plans on the athletic side will be accelerated, but at the same time, I think it will give us opportunities to do things that otherwise might have been slower in coming, and for that, we're really very excited, and much more to come. Let me talk just about, as my one last thing, just a few of the things that will be areas of major focus over the coming year or two or three. First is the youth signature experience. This is really a fairly simple proposition to state, but it's going to be one that's going to engage the entire university community from top to bottom. And that is, we want to ensure students who first contact us, from the moment they contact us until the moment they walk across that stage, that they have the best experience they possibly can here. On the administrative front, it means designing our administrative activities to serve the students' needs, not merely to fill out the paperwork. On the parking front, it means our parking attendants are not there merely to give tickets. They're to facilitate people getting into parking lots so they can get to class. It means on the professorial level that we are looking for ways in which a great research university can use the opportunities available by virtue of what we are to provide those intellectually transforming experiences. We're delighted that Mark Matheson has agreed to help coordinate that activity, along with Mimi Lochner from College of Architecture. I stress coordinate because at the end of the day, this is something that will engage every professor, every administrator, every person, every staff person in this entire university. I think it will be exciting. I think it will give us a chance to do what we do, but do it more comprehensively and perhaps even better. And we provide so many of those opportunities through the undergraduate research opportunity, the Hinckley internships, the study abroad opportunities, the Binion Center, the University Neighborhood Partnership, opportunities to be in your laboratories and to work closely in collaborative research projects. So much of that is already going on for so many students. Our goal is to allow me to stand up in front of every entering class and say to those students, we promise you those opportunities will be available. And if you choose to take advantage of them, they will be made available. We will have enough to let every student who wants to have one of those experiences, as well as to help the students understand the benefit of those experiences, encourage them to do precisely that. So this is an exciting, this will be a long-term goal and a great deal of work, I think, for the university, but we're very excited about that. And we've already seen a significant engagement on the part of our alumni who are very excited about this as well. We're also going to work very hard this year and for the coming years on student recruitment. We have a faculty really second to none, educational opportunity second to none, and we want to make sure that that's available to students who are second to none. And there has been evidence that the work that we've been doing even over the past couple of years is beginning to pay off in terms of student interest in the university, growing by leaps and bounds, and we believe we'll have more opportunities to do that, but that's going to be an area of significant focus, as well as a more effective deployment of our scholarship funds to ensure that the students who need that money have that money, as well as the students for whom that is a decisive factor and they're choosing to throw their lot in with us, have an opportunity to have the requisite amount of funding that will encourage them to do that. We also are going to work, and I think the PAC-10 gives us an opportunity to do this. We have been gifted over the past few years. We're very biblical. We've kept our light hidden under a bushel. And one of our goals this year is to begin to expand our capacity to tell this great story. Telling of the story has the opportunity to attract resources that support that story and expand and enhance it. And that is something else where we'll be working. We think we have opportunities with significantly expanded ease of communication across the country and indeed across the world, and how to marshal and use that in ways that allow us to tell this story is something that we very much want to do. Related to that, although a little bit indirect, is work I think we're going to launch in a more organized, systematic way. We've been doing quite a bit of this episodically and interstitially. Now the question will be, can we organize ourselves in a more self-conscious way to use technology as a more effective teaching device in and out of the classroom? And I've asked Steve Hess and Chuck White to begin thinking about this and pull together professors both to provide resources for those who would do it perhaps individually with respect to their own classroom experience, as well as organize ourselves to think about how to do this in a more coordinated, comprehensive way, especially with respect to some of our larger classes that may be the gateway classes. The data begin to show at this point that not only, that while there may not be particular cost savings in this, there appear to be tremendous effectiveness gains in terms not only of student comprehension, if used right, but also in student success. I've been talking to some presidents around the country who've been doing some of this, looking in some of their gateway courses in chemistry and mathematics, where they may have a normal success rate of about 44%, are finding that in some of these techniques that you're able to move students through the class in 7 weeks as opposed to 14 weeks. The retention is significantly higher in these classes. Over an 18-month period, the retention gap remains the same. That is to say, from conventional classes, they continue to have the same delta between conventional class and these classes in terms of retention. And interestingly, in at least one class, they showed me the retention rate went from 44% or the success rate, went from 44% to 99% of students finishing it successfully in the first year. These give us almost a moral obligation. Setting aside any efficiencies and cost savings, it seems to me if this proves out, this really gives us almost a moral obligation to drill down and provide this kind of an educational experience to our students, and that will be an area of focus. And finally, we are doing a great deal of work, and will expand over the next few years significantly, our capacity to support research. Already, I was meeting with Tom Parks today, and he shows me work that we've been doing that basically moves from the point at which you begin to conceive and decide to a grant all the way to the point at which the research grant is actually given. Different kinds of computer programs that we're trying to introduce, make available, writing support through the Writing Center to help these grants, and then probably in the end, what may turn out to be most important will be opportunities for enhanced efficiency and effectiveness in administration of the grants. The NSF generally estimates now that professors spend almost 40% of their time administering grants. And that means we are tremendously misallocating resources. If we can reduce those numbers so professors spend less time administering grants, much more time actually doing the research, the effectiveness of our research capacity goes up without spending an additional dollar of actual research monies. So this is something that will be a matter of great focus, as well as the introduction of programs that will allow more enhanced, efficient, confidential, secure collaboration between colleagues, not only on the university campus, but elsewhere as well. Please know that we are working as hard as we can to do everything we can to make this institution increasingly viable, increasingly strong, and to strengthen our capacity to deliver on the promises of higher education. This is a critical time for the university. Change for universities is, I am convinced, right around the corner. We embrace that change. We welcome that change. We'll revel in that change because we have historically had a capacity to use all these influences in the most positive way in this campus. I think these developments as they occur over time are going to be positive for the university in a disproportionate way. This university is a remarkable academic jewel, and our work and our commitment to you is to join you in unleashing that sparkle to that jewel in an even more profound and deep way. Your hard work and dedication are what make this possible. Our accomplishments today that I've talked about, our growth, our innovation, really come from our faculty. And this sets us up for not only present greatness, but even more future greatness. So we are trending upward in ways that are profound, for which we are very grateful for all that you do. So with that, I would be happy to take a question or a comment or two, unless you all just want to leave. I would be happy to take any comments or questions. We have a microphone. We're broadcasting this apparently on CNN. So if you want to speak into the microphone, or I'll repeat your question, either way. I know sometimes the first question's hard, so we could start with the second and then come back to the...
We read about the growth of other colleges down the road and so forth, in Salt Lake Community College. What are your thoughts on the optimum size of the University of Utah? You said we popped over 30,000 this year. What are we aiming at in our long-term plan?
20,000. Actually, if I had any courage, that's exactly what I'd do, but I don't. I actually think we are at a pretty good size right now. I wouldn't mind seeing some shifts in the composition. I think over time, a slightly higher percentage of our students as graduate students as opposed to undergraduate is probably be a healthy thing for us. Probably slightly larger, somewhat larger freshman class and fewer transfers. And I think those are inevitable developments that we see movement towards. But I would think the actual size of the student body I mean, I think they're different models, but it does not seem to, I can't see any dramatic advantages in growing the student body significantly. It's not as though, tuition revenues from the next marginal student will push us over the top in some important way. It changes the student-teacher ratio in important ways. So I don't know that I see that. Now, the second thing I would say is I would love to see our student body engaged a little more intensely. When I talk about 31,000 students, that's not FTE. That will be somewhat lower, and I would like to see, so that's maybe a third change that I would like to see, which is those 31,000 students always, taking 15 credit hours per semester and, getting out of Dodge after 4 years. So I can see some changes in that regard, but in terms of actual size, I don't see a compelling, I'm prepared to be persuaded, but I don't see at the moment a compelling argument that makes sense to me to grow in terms of absolute numbers.
What proportion of the undergraduate body lives on campus as opposed to commuting?
We have right now, I'm going to look for Barb Snyder somewhere out in the audience. How many actually live on campus, Barb? About 2,700 students on campus. And then we also actually have some housing units off campus. We bought 2 of the dorms for the old LDS Business College. In the end, what I'd like to see is most of our freshmen and sophomores, at least most of our freshmen and a very large percentage of our sophomores living on campus over time. Now, we have to do some other things besides just build dorms. I don't know if you walked around campus at 9 o'clock at night, but it's not lively, and our students seem to want lively. And so we've got some projects designed that would increase the sort of availability of things to do in the evening, if not necessarily on campus, just off campus. And that'll be part and parcel of this process. The Student Life Center, I think, will do that as well in an important way. But we would, over time, like to see, double, maybe triple that number, but certainly double that number. But I think dorms will be important, and we're on track to do those, but we have some other things we need to do to ensure that as well. One of the other things we are doing, by the way, this student engagements are very important for us, I believe. And of course, living on campus, students who live on campus are more likely to take more classes, do better. Student Life Center students who engage on campus in any of a variety of ways, whether it's student government, Binion Center, Student Life Center, are more likely to take more classes and do better. Also, there's substantial evidence that students who work on campus, if you have to work, working on campus is a better alternative than off campus. And we have increased the number of students who are working on campus from this year to last, almost 1,400 more students. So I have I think it's about 7,400 be working on campus this year. And one of my goals is to make available to students every job on campus that can be done by a student. And so if they, in fact, sleep off campus, we can live with that, but I'd like them coming here at 7 in the morning and leaving at 11 at night, intellectually and emotionally and physically and socially exhausted. But getting them on campus would be important as well.
We think, the students as being, anywhere demographically from 18 to maybe 25, 26, but can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
But I'd like to know what the campus and they're doing as far as, say, the non-traditional older student, with the satellite campuses, and possibly those that might even be wanting to seek degrees at this point.
Well, we don't call them older students. We call them more mature, non-traditional students, and we are happy to have them. I think to some degree, that tends to fluctuate with the job market. And so we've seen some increase over the last couple of years. My guess is it goes down a little later on. But we have been very supportive and encouraging of exactly those students. As some of you know, we started a program a couple of years ago. I'm not sure what we're calling it these days. Return to the U. Euphemistically, I call it Welcome Back, All Is Forgiven. We discovered we have 4,000 people in the Salt Lake Valley alone who had 90 credit hours or more and hadn't graduated. So the idea of Return to the U was come back, we'll help you design a curriculum that will get you through as effectively and efficiently as possible. It can be on the old requirements that when you left school or the new requirements when you came back. We've got some scholarship money designated to that. We have special advisors who help them. We even help them figure out how to get financial aid to do it. And it's been successful. We've had, 100-something students who've actually graduated under that program in the last couple of years. And I think that's encouraging. There will be, over time, more demand for that given the demographics of the United States. And Utah has an odd kind of sort of barbell-shaped population, very young population, but one of the most rapidly aging populations in the United States as well. And so I think we'll see increasing demand. The Osher Lifelong Learning Institute is another variation of that for people who may not choose degree programs, but nevertheless want some sort of enhanced intellectual engagement, or even hobby-related engagement for that matter. So we're working on providing these kinds of opportunities for our students. I would not say that non-traditional students are our primary focus. I mean, we really there's a sort of a traditional student body that we look for very hard, the kind that is probably most likely to benefit most from the educational experiences offered here, and that will continue to be our focus. But at the margins, we'd certainly like to work with other sorts of students in other ways as well. Well, I've exhausted your goodwill and your patience, I think. Thank you very much.